Good morning, everybody. My name is Connor Bray.
And I'm Chris Boweringer, and welcome back to Media Wipe. Now, before we begin the show, I think it's only fair for our new viewers that we kind of explain what it's about. Take it away,
Yeah.
Connor.
All right, so what we're going to be talking about today is we are talking about a couple of different things, which is
All right, so I'm gonna put this a little a little more in depth here. How this show works is we pick a specific genre of lost media, then we go through three different cases. Each case either getting darker or more obscure, and once we get to the end of each case, we have a between minute to 2 minute discussion on what we think about the case, and not only that, but between each song, between each case, we play a couple of 6 songs.
Yeah.
So y'all get ready for that. We have a very good lineup today.
Oh yeah, you know it, baby.
Now, without further ado, I think it's time that we start silencing some hills. All
Yes,
right.
Chris, that is a very good way to put it.
All right. So on August 12th of 2014, there was a mysterious game demo that showed up on the PlayStation Store by the name of PT. It was free at the time.
Yeah.
Now, the gameplay of this demo was simply you walking through a house that seemed to loop with each walkthrough,
Oh yeah.
and every time you would go through a different loop, there would be some kind of change. Like, for example, there would be like new doorways or a new hallway. Just a bunch of small things that if you didn't pay attention, you wouldn't notice until things got creepy on around your third or fourth time through. The lights would start flickering off, and then you would start seeing I'm just going to say the monster because I don't want to spoil anything for you guys.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. And now, at the ending, there was a very notable cutscene of a dark town that is just laden with fog, with very weak lights just kind of illuminating the street. Now, you follow a guy walking down this street, and the camera pans up, he turns to the camera, and boom, Norman Reedus jump scare. And then that's just how the demo ends.
Yeah, don't think I ever actually saw the ending of it.
Really?
No, I don't believe so.
I mean, did you get to play it when it was out?
No, unfortunately I didn't. I watched Jacksepticeye play it, but I don't think he showed off the ending, if I remember correctly.
I mean, fair enough. When I actually did get to play this, because I had a buddy who had downloaded it off the store. I think he still has it, actually.
Ooh, lucky
But
devil.
we got through to the first spooky rotation, and then we just quit. Like, we were just done. Well, you gotta be, to be fair, we were like 7.
That's understandable. That's when I started getting into this sort of stuff, so yeah.
Yeah, now if it wasn't clear enough already, this was a preview for a full game by the name of Silent Hills, which would have been directed by Hideo Kojima and famous horror director Guillermo del Toro.
The men themselves.
Now, those names probably don't sound too, like, notable to you if you're not familiar with movies or just games in general.
Yeah.
But with Hideo Kojima, he is one of the most prolific Japanese game writers of all time.
I mean, let's talk about some of his titles that he's done. I mean, just look at the entire Metal Gear series.
He's written all of them up to 5.
Yeah.
And after he left, Metal Gear just kind of went downhill with like Metal Gear Survive.
Yeah.
And all those games.
Oh yeah, and that was also with the mobile games too.
Yeah. And not only just that, but he made a funny little game called Death Stranding.
That too.
Now,
yeah.
it's a little confusing. I'm going to say that much. It's really vague, but overall, I'd say it's a pretty solid game.
Yeah. It's kind of like an old school science fiction novel.
Yeah.
Sort of light on the details and lets you fill it in yourself.
Yeah, he likes to get into very subtle themes in his work. Though I will say things do get very surreal and confusing at times, especially with the Metal Gear series.
Oh yeah.
Now,
the whole plot of 5 was really confusing.
Yeah, I mean the first half was good, and then the second half was Kojima being Kojima.
And then the 14-hour monologue.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on to Guillermo del Toro. he is one of the best horror directors of all time, in my opinion. He has made some of my favorite movies. Like when I was growing up, one of my favorite like horror movies was Pan's Labyrinth. If you remember that, it's where you see a bunch of those YouTube thumbnails of the guy with no eyes with the eyes on his hands.
That's right, him.
It's a fantastic. He's really good with body horror. He's really good with build up. Like his movie The Shape of Water, which explores like a relationship between the creature from the Black Lagoon and a lady, pretty much. Huh. It's a good movie.
That's
it actually, I'm pretty sure
concept.
it was nominated for a couple Oscars. I think it actually won one.
Wow.
And overall, he's just amazing at what he does. He also made a really underrated PG-13 movie called Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark a few years ago, which had...
Hold on, that's not underrated. That's like one of the best things out there.
I mean, not a lot of people agree with that. Because the thing about PG-13 horror is that people as much for some reason because there's not enough blood or anything. It's like there doesn't need to be blood for it to be scary, boss.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about existential horror? I mean, half of that stuff don't got blood in it. It's still scary.
Yeah, psychological horror, all that stuff.
Yeah, the good stuff.
Yeah, really. And not only that, but that movie has some of my favorite adaptations of monster designs of all time. Like they adapted the Stephen Gamble artwork from the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark books almost 1-to-1.
Yeah.
Like it is perfect.
Yeah, I remember when I first ever saw the monster, I was like, holy smokes. That's like genuinely like had me sleep. I think it had to be sleepless for like a night or two. Mm-hmm. Good stuff. I'm typically pretty resistant against that.
Yeah, it was my first horror movie I actually saw in theaters, fun fact. But the cancellation is unfortunately what we're going to have to bring up next because
yes,
as much as I love these two directors and the demo, things weren't meant to be, unfortunately. It's pretty unclear on, why this was canceled.
I'm going to assume it was beginning to be like some of the scrapes between Hideo Kojima and Capcom being
we're getting there. Now, there's two big theories. That's Kojima's work on Metal Gear Solid 5 because, well, that game got heavy criticism for the first half being really good and the second half being just really, really bad.
Yeah.
Just literally 14-hour monologue.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to watch movies, it's plenty fine, but
yeah. He already got criticism for this during Peace Walker, which was the game before 5. But it got much worse during 5. And honestly, I'd say this is a pretty good theory because I know Kojima's really strict about keeping their image.
Oh, yeah.
Or sorry, Konami is really strict about getting their image.
That's the one I was thinking of. Oops.
And overall, I would say it's like a 50-50 shot between this and Kojima just leaving on his own because I know he had been clashing with the higher-ups at Konami for going on like 10 years at that point. Like, they were at a very strained relationship, and the only reason he was still there is because he had passion for what he was working on.
That's often the way it is in reality.
It's really unfortunate, but most creative jobs, you're going to have clashes with the higher-ups because, simply put, a lot of the time, they don't understand your creative vision.
Yeah, they don't understand the creative vision, and they're more focused towards money.
Now, what do you think is more likely?
What do I think is more likely? I'm going to go with the clash between Kojima and the higher-ups. That's what I'm ultimately thinking is going to happen because...
The one where he left on his own?
Yeah.
I would honestly agree with that because...
I mean, he did eventually leave, so...
His relationship with them was getting more strained and strained and strained.
It's only a matter of time it broke.
Yeah, to the point where he's just like, nope, I'm done. Goodbye. And went to go work at other studios.
Yeah, where is he working at right now?
Honestly, I don't know. For right now, I think he's just kind of wherever he finds something he likes, he just goes there, works on that, and then moves on. I don't think he's really anchored anymore, which honestly, to his credit, that is a very ballsy thing to do.
Yeah, something that'd be funny. Imagine if we managed to get him over here. That'd be really funny.
Oh, it would be fun to interview him. The problem with that though is I don't know how much money a flight from Japan to here is.
Yeah, that
like
would be a serious penny pincher.
Yeah. Though overall, no matter what happened, I think it's just very unfortunate that we managed to lose out on what could have been one of the best games ever made.
Oh yeah.
Because even I see people saying that PT is better than all the games that were like before, right before it, like, you know, 5, Homecoming, and Downpour. Like they said, all of those were just paled in comparison to PT.
Now that I'm thinking about it, kinda yeah, I can see the point. That's
so if Silent Hills had came out in short, I think it would have been a horror classic.
Oh yeah.
However,
I mean the first Silent Hill I think was already one of them.
Yeah. Though unfortunately, I'm going to have to express my emotions here with our next song, Silent Scream.
Well, see you then. Honestly, that was a fun song.
Yeah, it's from the second really bad live action movie. But for some reason, I don't know what it is, but video game adaptations, most of the movies just suck, but the soundtracks are so good.
The Resident Evil movies.
Yeah, I 100% agree. But I think that's enough about the music. Why don't we move over to the dark streets of London for London After Midnight?
Yeah. So let's start off with who this was made by. This was made by
Not Gabe Newell.
That would be very interesting. This was made by Tom Browning.
But yeah, so what Todd Browning is known for is Dracula from 1931,
much,
which is one of the most famous horror movies of all time.
Pretty much started the whole thing.
He's also known for being one of the directors to make one of the first banned movies of all time called Freaks.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Probably because it was banned.
Yeah. But not only did Dracula become one of the most influential movies of all time, it also kickstarted the original horror series of the Universal Monster movies.
Yeah.
Where they would do collaboration movies together and all that stuff.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
But yeah, I would also like to cover Freaks on Media Wipe at some point
yeah,
because it seems like a really interesting case for me.
Really interesting case, but it may get us some bit of criticism from other people. But
yeah.
Who cares about them?
But yeah, who starred in this movie? Do you remember?
I think it was Lon Chaney Sr.
Yeah, it was Lon Chaney Sr. He was a really big actor during the 20s because he was basically the face of horror back then. And his son went on to actually play the Wolfman in the Universal Monster movies, too.
Oh, yeah. You want to know something funny?
What's up?
Lon Chaney Jr. actually met with the Queen.
Really?
Yeah. He was going to give himself a big bowl of beef chow mein.
That's cool.
Yeah, if you couldn't tell, that was a bit of a reference there.
Yeah.
Warren Zevon's a fun guy.
I 100% agree with you on that. Now, this film had a pretty short runtime for nowadays. For then, I think it was a lot longer because 65 minutes is basically nothing. Now, is that still considered a short film?
Yeah, that's actually considered a long-standing film.
Yeah, just barely though.
No, not really. Actually, it's there by around, I think, 17 minutes.
Something like that?
Yeah, because the maximum time is 45 minutes.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah. Of course, I may be a little bit out of date on this one.
Now, could you kind of explain the plot of this film? Because I'm having a little trouble remembering.
All right. So basically, this rich guy named Roger Buford.
Belfour, I think is his surname. Yeah.
Oh, it looks like Buford. Sorry. Roger Belford was found dead with a suicide note next to his body. Then this guy named Professor.
It was Edward Burke.
His name. Yeah, that was the guy.
He was the guy that was played by Lon Chaney in this movie.
So he was placed in that professor guy. He was placed in charge of the investigations, and then
his neighbor was questioned, but no leads were found, leading to the death being ruled as a suicide. Because there was a note for it, and everything.
Do you remember what the note said?
No, there is no record of what the note said, because once again we're gonna get to that about the studio vault fire.
Oh, that's right.
Anyways, 5 years after this whole murder investigation, or suicide investigation, the mansion is just dilapidated, and it's now occupied by an old man claiming to be Roger Belfour, along with a ghostly woman who is renting Hamlin's previous abode. Now, Balfour is called back to the house to investigate reports of vampires being inside.
I can see
that,
yeah.
I mean, if there's two, really old pale people in there...
Probably vampires.
Yeah, probably vampires, And
not the Castlevania style, although that would be fun.
Yeah, and also, I mean, to be fair, that most people in London are pale. But...
Yeah.
I mean,
we know you guys. You got brick homes.
True. But once that he gets to the house, the twist is revealed. The vampire, or, the old man, is actually Burke the whole time, using hypnosis and a fake premise of vampires to make Hamlet admit that he had killed Belfour 5 years before. Does that make much sense? Not really.
I'm going to keep it real with you. If I remember correctly, that sort of a similar plot was mentioned that, in the original Dracula films.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that Dracula was originally presented as just like, this old rich dude.
Yeah.
And then as we got to the end of the first act, he would reveal his vampiric nature.
I think I know someone like that. What was his name? Oh, yes, that's right. Andrew Carnegie. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
At some point, I also want to... Speaking of Dracula, at some point, I want to do something over the Hammer films. The Christopher Lee Dracula.
Yeah.
But once we, get back to the plot here, we need to get to the criticism because it was huge. The plot, it was confused. It was criticized for the plot being hard to follow, poor acting, and apparently people thought it was only selling tickets because of Lon Chaney's name being on the project.
I could foresee that if those are the main problems with the movie, and that's kind of, the movie's whole shtick, I could definitely see how that could be just simply be bought by Lon Chaney's name being on there.
I mean, if you want a current example of something that where just somebody's name is sticked on it to, look at the later Rocky movies. They have Sylvester Stallone's name on them, but eventually, they just kind of don't become Rocky movie. Even the fourth Rocky movie, while that one's my favorite, I think it was mainly just made to sell tickets.
Yeah, it's kind of
off of Sylvester's name.
It's kind of like, the whole Home Alone stuff that's going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
How they change the Home Alone kid, every single time.
Oh, yeah, and, there's not five, there's, over 10 Home Alones.
Yeah.
That's clinically insane.
I mean, to me, there's only 2. But back to the loss of this film, unfortunately. The final prints were archived in the MGM Studio vault, which... If you didn't know, back in the early days, what they would do once a film finished its run, they would take the master film reel and they would put it in this whole storage library of every single film that had been made by MGM up to that point.
Yeah, you want to know something interesting? I think there was something similar that sort of happened with some of the original Steely Dan records. Something similar happened there.
Oh yeah, with a record vault or what?
Oh yeah. I think something similar happened there because I remembered I was looking at one of their collections and they mentioned the only sort of thing they had was just this old version of what was it? Everyone's Gone to the Movies. That's the song I was thinking of. Yeah.
Now this studio vault that I had just mentioned, it caught fire in 1965, and that unfortunately ended the life of one person, which that's awful, and I'm sorry to hear that. And it also caused the loss of hundreds of films.
Oh, yeah.
It is one of the main reasons why movies in the 1920s are lost.
Yeah.
90% of the movies from the 20s are lost because of this fire. And not only that, but, obviously movies just, disappearing over time. But this was a major component of that.
Yeah. I will say one thing. Wasn't that fire caused by electrical fire?
Yes, it was caused by an electrical short that ignited the film because at the time the film was made with nitrate. Nitrate is extremely flammable.
That'll do it.
So in the end, the film just burnt to pieces within minutes and destroyed all known copies of London After Midnight.
That kind of sucks.
While I think that it's unlikely, I still think there's a chance that this could be found because
maybe.
There was a silent film that was found recently just in a random church.
Huh. Maybe.
I learned this from, I think it was a Blame It on Jorge video, but apparently they had found a different silent film in just a church in the middle of nowhere, which, I mean, that could happen again with something like London After Midnight.
Heck, for all we know, it could be in France.
Yeah, I mean, there are a bunch of collectors all around the world. Who's to say that one of them isn't just stowing away the last reel that they know of?
Yeah.
But, while our opinions are pretty together on this, I do say they kind of clash on other things. Speaking of which, this is London Calling by The Clash.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Media Wipe. Hope you guys enjoyed London Calling by The Clash. What a fantastic song.
Oh, yeah. Hard not to like it.
Yeah, that whole album is just wonderful.
Yeah.
Once again, we might have to get a Jackson and Connor review this random record episode on that.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways,
moving on.
Yeah, I think we should move from something, incredibly lively to something more deceased with the intro to Corpse Party.
Yes.
Now, Corpse Party, if you didn't know, is a niche game made with RPG Maker, which was created back in 1996 by a guy named Makoto Kadan.
Old platform.
Very old game. It was also strangely ported to mobile devices between 2006 and 2007.
Huh.
Progress on this port stopped just short of completion, however, with only 4 out of the 5 chapters of the game, just being released.
You know something funny?
What's up?
My eldest brother could have accidentally encountered this game.
How's that?
He was born, I think, in 2001, around that region. So yeah, it's entirely possible.
You know what? We should see if Roland still has a copy of this.
No, it wouldn't be Roland. It would be my eldest brother.
Oh.
He's in Michigan.
Okay, but the other thing with this is that it was only released in Japan. So even if he had
he would have to. Around, he would have had to done some crazy stuff to his localization, and I don't think.
And also, especially, he was 6 years old, boss.
Yeah, I could see if you could accidentally download something like this if it was English, but having to change your nationality to Japanese in order to get this for on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Completely out of the water.
Now they had to stop production on this mobile port so that they could become they could be more focused on a remaster on the PC, which was going to be I think it's Blood Covered is the name of the remaster of Corpse Party that was released in 2009. It's honestly a lot better than the original game. It has a lot less jank because RPG Maker is a very old engine. It's been around since the late 90s.
Yeah, and let's just say it's the developers for RPG Maker do actively hate their game devs.
Yeah, so.
And if you think I'm joking about that, they actually post about that. Yes, they will do some very nefarious things with people.
There's also another RPG Maker game that I would like to talk with you about at some other point, which goes by the name of Kanye Quest 3030.
No, we are not talking about Kanye Quest.
Why not?
3030.
Okay.
That's a low-hanging fruit, man.
Okay. But the current unfinished state of Chapter 5 is due to this, and it still isn't out, which it's never going to come out. Boss.
It's never going to come out.
It's been almost 18 years since this mobile port came out, and it's gone.
Unless someone accidentally released the files for it, but
unless Makoto has it himself, nobody has it. That's
pretty much.
It's not likely to be It's not very likely to be found due to the nature of files being properly converted before you can even view them.
Yeah.
So
you have to go through a massive process to do it, even if it does exist.
That's why making a game on PC and then trying to put it on mobile is so hard. Yeah. Is because file transfers are so buggy and just flat out inconvenient.
Oh yeah,
that it's just not worth it.
Look at the Terraria port for PC. For mobile.
Yeah,
it's tough stuff.
The only good mobile port I've seen is the Battle Cats mobile port.
Hold on, man. You forget. First of all, Battle Cats was started on mobile, then got ported to PC. But in reality, I think the best mobile port would probably be Stardew Valley.
Oh yeah, the Stardew Valley mobile port. I forgot how good it is.
Oh yeah. It's actually better than PC in many ways.
I would say the worst mobile port of all time, though, is definitely Resident Evil 8 remake on mobile. It's just Resident Evil 8 with really, really low poly graphics. It's kind of funny.
That would be very, very silly. Oh, imagine if they did Resident Evil 2 on that. That'd be super
Honestly, it could
silly.
probably run it just fine.
It could run it, but it'd be super silly just seeing Mr. X just low poly Mr. X.
Yeah.
I mean, just envision that.
That would be great. The other thing I would say, there's a chance of this being found, is if one of the couple people that made this mobile port still has it.
Yeah.
But even if they do, it's not complete. Even if they have part of Chapter 5, it is part of Chapter 5.
Yeah.
The latter half of it does not exist.
Nope. But even still, if we could still at least see that first part, that would definitely be interesting.
Yeah. Now,
maybe like a fan project could probably, do that, but still.
Yeah. Now that we've come to the end of our discussion about Corpse Party, we're going to transition over to one of my favorite album enders of all time. This is Mosquito Song by Queens of the Stone Age.
Good stuff. So, yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. Hope
Hey.
you guys enjoyed Mosquito Song, one of the best songs that has ever closed a Queens of the Stone Age album.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'd have to agree with you on that margin, my man.
Yeah. Yeah. Jackson would kill me for that, but
Yeah, don't worry about them.
I'm very worried about that considering he's my other Queens head. So. Yeah.
I see.
But
okay,
now that,
maybe you do have to worry about that.
Now that we've gotten to our final song, it's unfortunately time for us to say goodbye. Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for tuning in.
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Next week is going to be Wrestling Lost Media, so strap up your boots for that one.
And we've got some fun stuff this round.
We got a special story for that one, actually. I hope you guys are. I hope you guys enjoy that one. But until then, keep your head on a swivel, keep your valuables concealed, and goodbye.
Don't go to Rome.